Welcome back, welcome back to a bit gaming and a review of the Warlord Celtic Warriors. Not needed, obviously. There's probably hundreds of these things, but I have a particular take on it. So first thing, I wasn't going to do a review. I wasn't going to do a review of these because I really didn't like the figures at all when I was painting them. Mostly not because of the models themselves, just for various historical reasons. But painted up and based in a unit, you know, they're pretty good really. If you don't have the historical problems I have with them, so pretty good. You know, 40 figures. You're gonna get two. My original plan for Ancients was these little tiny units of. Effectively, two bases of 50mm or basically 100mm wide, so that you could get 6 units like that on a 3-foot table, moving around. But as the main thing for me with Ancients is the aesthetics, and it just looked too pathetic having these little piddly little units. So I decided just to make what I think of as normal size units, and just wait for a point where I've got a bigger table. So I was going to clear off this collection of stuff that I got previously. I mean, why I got ghouls I don't know, because I was the first of my small armies was going to be Macedon. But anyway, I got them, and so I wasn't going to do a review because I didn't like the figures while I was painting them, but no, they're okay now. I'll explain why I don't like them, or didn't like them. The various reasons are not enough spears, too many swords and not enough spears, not enough shields. This may have changed since, because I think they added some shields to the packets now. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, I bought some. I had to buy some because the sprues as they come only have shields for half the figures, which just doesn't make any sense at all. So most of these would be just wandering around with a sword and just waving it in the air without a shield if it wasn't I hadn't bought the extra ones. Oh yeah, the other thing about the shields is as well as not having enough of them, there's most of them are waving their shields in the air, off to the side, like that, which is. One, it's very silly because obviously you've got Romans throwing Pelham at you. You're basically just saying, giving them a nice little target. But the other kind of aesthetic reason is you get these nice kind of shield transfers, and if you use them on these shields, they point to the side. You can't actually see them when you're looking at the unit. When you can, if you like go and look at them from the side or whatever, but still, it's a bit of a waste. Yeah, so. Too many swords, not enough shields, too many swords, not enough spears, not enough shields, and the shields are in a funny place. And the other reason I didn't like it is, it's not true of most of the figures, but there's like 10 figures on a sprue, and there's 2 or 3 of the poses which are just make me think of fast zombie movies. Ghouls, undead ghouls, as opposed to ghouls. So Ghoul ghouls rather than Gaul ghouls. Again, they annoyed the crap out of me when I was painting them, but once it's all done, you can just stick those ones in the back, and it's not too bad. And I say the reason these criticisms were all well, I say these criticisms are all, or nearly all, historical. I say the pose would be a problem anyway, but I think the reason for the pose is because if people have got the wrong idea about barbarians generally. Why they were barbarians, and why, because they did have a reputation for a wild charge. Romans and all these people always said that they had a wild charge, but that's not the same as being a fast zombie. So yeah, so I say don't want to be too negative, because they work out all right in the end. And say, oh yeah, the other thing was 36 figures, so you've got 2 lots of 8, 6 bases of 3 for the main warband, and so that would be 36 if you had 2, and then there's some other figures to be skirmishers in the front. would make what I call a regiment. And it's not really a regiment, obviously, it's barbarians, but it is a regiment in terms of most of these kind of war bands. There'd be there'd be a tribe, a lot of sub tribes, and each of the sub tribes would send their own little war band off to the army. So they're basically all people from the same region. So unlike when I was a kid and using the airfix, I'd have with my ancient Britons, I'd have a unit of guys with axes and a unit of guys with slings, etc. I don't think I don't think that's right anymore now in my old age. I think they're people from a different particular region, and so you get the chiefs and their bodyguards in the front, the guys with the armour, and the main guys behind them, spears and shields. And in barbarian places anyway, the skirmish at the front will generally be the younger guys with the fastest legs. So that's kind of a regiment. That's what I think of as a regiment. And originally, if you think about it, it's similar to a Napoleonic battalion in the fact that the guys at the front, the bodyguard guys at the front, they're kind of the equivalent of the grenadiers in a French battalion or the grenadier company. The main guys in the back, they're the equivalent of the line companies, and then you got the skirmishers at the front, the equivalent of the voltigeurs. So that's how I kind of imagine a barbarian unit being. It's a collection of the people that live in a particular place, and they're all kind of jumbled up together in a unit rather than separate little chunks. But anyway, not being too negative, they're good. Once they're all painted up and based, they're good things. The problems I have with them are mostly historical, and I'm going to do a video on barbarians to explain why I think why they were the way they were. Yes, particular reasons. So anyway, so again, I don't want to be too negative again, because I do think they're worth it. There's a box, worth the money. These are, I don't know what I was thinking when I bought them, but I think the most likely thing was I was thinking of using them for Carthage as mercenaries. In which case, having more swordsmen is more plausible. So that's it's not a big deal. If I was going to do an actual Gaul army, I wouldn't get loads of boxes of these. I'd get like a box of these and like one. If you had boxes, you had like one box worth of these for like 2 box worths of spearmen, and then I'll mix them together. So there was more spear guys in the back. But yeah, but they're perfectly good in that context. If you use them in that way, they're perfectly fine. Anyway, I'm going to do a video on barbarians, but this is a view of these figures. Anyway, blah 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 blah. I could do a bit. Yeah, as a quick addendum to explain why they kind of reminded me of Gauls, Gauls, is when I first started this, when it was a year or so ago, a bit more, I got some French Napoleonics, and I was painting them. And it turned into such a disaster of not being able to paint white and not deciding on how to base them and stuff, that I wanted a total break. And so I got something that was like the complete opposite. So I got a packet of plastic undead from North Star. Don't know why, but anyway, they had a load of Gauls, and these kind of poses, where they're like bent over almost double. Just reminded me when I got the Warlord Celtic warriors. It just totally reminded me of Gauls, Gauls. And that's what put me off the figures. Mostly that bent over double one, but also there's a couple of others that look like they're constipated. So, and I did actually consider taking those ones out and painting them up as actual Gauls. Make it they were only just been bitten or something, only just turned, and I was going to paint them white or grey, but otherwise mostly human looking. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't, because once they're painted up, and particularly if those ones are at the back, the ones I don't like are at the back, they're perfectly fine for what they were intended to be. But yeah, these ghouls, they spoiled the Celtic warriors for me.